Welcome to Mugs and Magic, a tabletop gaming podcast from board games to role-playing games and everything in between. My name is Erica, and I own binoculars and a Birds of Texas book, thanks to Wingspan.
And my name is Alan, and setting bit bowls next to snack bowls seems like a dangerous combination.
Oh no, don't get those two bowls confused. Today on episode 2, we're talking about unbeatable games. You can add like an effect or something to that, right, Alan? On the back end.
Unbeatable games.
That's exactly what I wanted. We're talking about games that we really enjoy. We love playing. We're going to keep playing, but we just cannot win.
But before we get into unbeatable games, let's talk about what's in our mugs.
Oh yeah, what's in your mug?
Right now, I say now because I'll probably have another one before we get through this. Right now, I am drinking a French dark roast with just a hint of cream to give it just a little bit of color.
Not flavor. You're not about the flavored creamer, but I am. I'm drinking a coconut cold brew, which is a seasonal thing from Trader Joe's. It's super good, and I got some almond milk creamer. So I'm enjoying my iced coffee in this heat.
Yeah, I definitely need to break out the French press again, but I'd have to go get some nice grounds. I like the smell. I like having those fresh grounds. I love just opening up that little coffee bag and just smelling those grounds.
No. You're doing it wrong. If you're not grinding your own beans, you're doing it.
Oh, sorry.
wrong.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yes.
Yeah, grinding them. But being a dad of 2 little kids, sometimes I have to take the hit and just use the Keurig because I gotta get that hit. I gotta get that hit of that caffeine right off the bat.
It's relatable. You know what else is relatable? Some really difficult, hard to win cooperative games.
So the first game we're going to talk about is Hogwarts Battle. So go ahead and break out your wands, get your cauldrons, because we are going to Hogwarts.
Well, yeah, we are gonna protect Hogwarts, or we're gonna fail doing it. It's just more realistic.
That's right. This Ravenclaw is come to fight. That's all I'm saying.
You're not a Ravenclaw. That's not official. I need to see the official quiz.
Well, I mean, based on your Slytherin scarf you got there, I think if we're losing, it's because you're sabotaging us.
I am not a Slytherin. How dare you? I'm a Hufflepuff.
So this cooperative deck building game is where you and up to 3 other players, so 4 players altogether, are going to choose one of 4 heroes: Harry, Hermione, Ron, or Neville. And FYI, we never play Neville.
Oh, sorry, Neville. You're hot now, but we just don't want to play you.
No, right now it's me, Erica, and my wife are currently playing through this game, and I'm playing Harry. My wife is playing Hermione.
And I'm your best pal, Ron.
And we play through, this game is where you play through the 7 years. So there are 7 games, so to speak. And each game comes with a set number of villains, dark art cards, and a set market, just like a standard deck building game would be. And each game or each year that you progress through, you're going to add more dark arts cards, more villains. And of course, to kind of help you out, you're going to add more to the market, which actually could be detrimental because some of those market cards have a really high price tag on them. And when you start each new year, you start back out with your starting hand, and sometimes you just can't generate, more than 4 or 5 coins to buy those really top end cards.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the reasons why it's unbeatable. What you're trying to do to win is you are trying to defeat all of the villains before they gain control of 3 different locations. And that's when you secure Hogwarts and, you save the day. But if they get all of those locations, they gain control, placing their dark marks on them, you lose the game. And because you're pulling dark art card events every single turn, and the villains that are out have their own abilities, and as you progress through the years, you get harder and more villains. They take over the locations really fast, so there's definitely a lot to manage in this game to be successful. You have to save up your money to buy some cool allies, like you want to get Albus Dumbledore, or you have to manage the dark arts locations, or you need to defeat villains. There's a lot going on.
There is, and the one of the things I like about this game is, one, it's actually really not that hard to learn or play. You pretty much pick it up through the first year of play.
Yeah, it's a really simple deck builder.
It's really simple.
It's fun.
Like we picked it up really easily. And although right now we're struggling just to get through year 6, so we're stuck on year 6. We haven't even played through year 7 yet. It's been really fun getting up to this point. And the game each year adds a little something, like I said before. It adds a couple of cards and stuff, but it does add a couple of new mechanics. So when you start off with your heroes, you start off. Your hero has like a little ability on their card, and each hero has per deck builder. You're going to have special cards just unique to your hero, and then as you open up these new years, your heroes gain another special ability. You get a background, right? It's a background card, I believe.
Yeah, one of the years you get a proficiency bonus.
Proficiency. And then you also get a dice mechanic where these 4 house dice come out, which
I love rolling those dice. I do. They're so fun.
Which they are color coded per the house. So you have red, yellow, green, and blue, and each one, they're 6-sided, and each side has, depending on the house, could have more attack power, could have more money, it could have draw a card. So depending, when you draw a card that allows you to, whether it's an ally or dark arts card or something like that, that allows you to roll one of those dice, depending on what you're trying to do, you want to pick the house that's going to be more in favor of what you're trying to do, whether that's, like I said, gain money or deal more attack power. Or if you're rolling against you, well, most of the time you're rolling that Slytherin card because it has the most damaging on it, and that usually means that you're going to take that damage.
Yeah, probably. I really like how as the years progress, or as you win a year and you progress to the next year, you graduate and you move on to your next year at Hogwarts. I really like that you get to open a new box, get those new cards, new rules. That's another reason why this is so easy to pick up. They start you off with just base rules, and we start to pick up new rules and new mechanics, like you were just saying, as you graduate year after year. So it gradually builds up until you're feeling like a pro. So like Alan said, we're stuck on game 6, just to give you a little bit of a background on our struggle and why maybe this isn't unbeatable, but it's a struggle for us. We lost our first time at game 4. So we flew through game 3. We were just, killing trolls and fighting Death Eaters and all that stuff. And we got to game 4. That was our first little struggle. We had to play it twice, or year 4. And then we got to year 5, and we were camped out in year 5 for a while. We had to play that 3 times to win. And then now we are currently stuck in year 6, battling our way through all of these villains, trying to get to you-know-who and defeat him, which we almost have. We have played that one 3 times, and we still haven't won it. I really, really want to get to year 7 and open that last box and see what we got to do to defeat the Dark Lord. But I don't know if we're going to do it. We're struggling.
It's definitely tough. And we've looked online, we've heard some things online about if you're playing with 3 players, you should float Neville. Somebody should just pick up and play Neville, because having the 4 heroes versus just 3 or 2 increases your chances. And we've also heard, depending on the order in which you play your heroes. So like Harry should go first, and then it should be, Ron, and then it should be whatever. But
I don't think it's that so much. I think it all comes down to what villains you get laid out on the table that first round, and what Hogwarts cards you have to buy in the market. And depending on, some of these villains are really heavy hitters with a lot of health. And if they're on the table for the first or second round, I don't want to say it's hopeless, but it's probably hopeless.
It's definitely a luck of the draw for this deck builder. Depending on what villains get pulled out first in the first couple of rounds and what cards are in your market, if it immediately landlocks you, so to speak, with high tier market cards that you can't afford because you start off with little money, those cards never go away. They just sit on top, and you don't get, you can't get any of the other cards that help you build resources and or give you extra attack power. to defeat those villains. And if the strong villains, because it's random, you're going to shuffle your villain deck, and it's random. So every time you play through, you don't know what villains are going to come out first. And as you progress through each year, you know, first year start off with like one villain, and then as you progress, you're putting out 2, you're putting out 3. So you're already at year 6. Here we are fighting 3 villains, and we've got more.
And some of them are quickly taking over locations while stopping us from adding other, you know, damage to other villains, or stopping us from buying cards, or stopping
or
us
removing dark marks from the locations.
making us discard half our hands. And so it's harder to buy up because you start with your starting 10 cards fresh every year. So you've got to build up that deck, and that's hard to manage when you're also trying to manage 3 villains at the same, and all the dark art events that are coming out over and over. But it still is a great game. We're not trying to harp on it. It's really easy to pick up. It is a really fun cooperative deck builder. I really love that when you start with 10 health, your character does, and when you get down to 0, you're not eliminated. There's no player elimination. You're just stunned. You have some negative, you know, things you got to deal with. And then at the end of your turn, you go right back up to 10 and you're back in the game. So no one is eliminated. You can play the whole time until you lose all 3 of those locations.
And I can't wait. I think the next time we play, because we are going to play this again, because like you said, I want to get through year 7. There's also an expansion for this game, and we want to get there too, but we got to get through this base game first. So, but next time we play, I say we break out the butterbeer and we just tackle it. We just go for it until we get through game 7.
Yeah. It might take a few rounds, but I mean, we'll update y'all when we successfully defend Hogwarts.
But if you have beaten Hogwarts Battle, please hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit us up in the comments on YouTube. Let us know, did you beat Hogwarts Battle? Did you play with all 4 heroes? Did you only play with set number heroes? You know, did you have a winning strategy? Let us know. We'd love to hear it.
We're happy for you to flex on us on any of these games. We're being vulnerable with you guys, telling you we really struggle to win these games. And if you want to flex, we want to hear it because we want the help.
Yeah, please, help action.
Yeah.
So what's our next game?
Let's get into our next game. Before I tell you the name of it, I want to read a direct quote from Twitter. I wish I had screenshot it so I could at them, but I read a tweet that said, "This game is impossible unless you cheat." And we're not cheating yet. And so that's why I say Marvel Champions is unbeatable. That's our next game. Some of you might be gasping like, oh, how can they not win? But we're here to tell you, we really struggle with this game. So Marvel Champions is a really awesome living card game. I'm sure you've heard of it. The theme is amazing. You can play as your favorite hero and you can battle your favorite villain. They have tons of hero packs and expansion packs, and like the collector in us just wants them all. When you're playing this game, you have your hero and whoever else is playing against the villain you've selected. You got a hero phase and you have a villain phase. And then when it's your turn, you're playing cards from your hand. You're trying to deal damage. You're trying to thwart the villain schemes. You're trying to play cards to get an ally on the table to help you out. There's really awesome, depending on the hero pack that you're playing, there's really awesome support cards and upgrade cards to help you out. That's what you're doing on your turn. And then it's the villain's turn, and he starts threatening us and scheming and sending out his minions and doing side schemes and treacheries and all sorts of things as he gains forces against us to try and thwart us. And then it repeats and repeats and repeats until eventually someone is eliminated. And in our case, it's the heroes.
Yeah, the mechanics of this game are it's really not that hard. I think it took us a little while to catch on the flow.
There was a learning curve for us.
Yeah, there was a little bit. This deck builder had a little bit of a learning curve for us. We've definitely had to check the rules a couple times because we've missed little here and there things. Like we didn't realize at first, like, oh, when when a hero or an ally attacks a minion or a villain, they actually take damage as well. So that, you
It.
burn through those cards a little bit faster because they're like, oh, well, once you get, I think it's like 3 or 4 allies on, like, why would you change that? But when they only have like 2 HP, they attack twice, they're out, not on purpose, but they're just out because you burn through that card. But I really like how I like the mechanics of the game in the sense that you choose your hero, and your hero has an alter ego and their hero form. And in their alter ego, that's where you're going to be in that form. You can switch back and forth on your turn unless you exhaust your character during the villain phase when you're getting attacked. But if you're in your alter ego, you're going to use that form to heal up because you start off with HP based on the particular hero. Each hero, they're about the same, give 1 or 2 points depending on the hero, obviously.
Yeah.
But in your alter ego, you have a power on that card, and then you also have recovery. So the only thing you can do is just regain HP. And I think that's one of the things that we're not doing enough is we're not going back into our alter ego in order to get that HP. But the reason why we haven't been too keen on doing that is because when you are in alter ego form and it's the villain's phase, instead of attacking you, they scheme, which means they get to add more threat to their scheme card. And the scheme card has a threshold based on the number of players, and it's based on the villain. So there's just a target number, and if they meet that target number, the game's over, right? So that's the thing, is like we're trying to manage the threat of the scheme. We got to keep that down. And even if we get that at 0, we don't win. We have to get the villain to 0 HP. And their HP is based on the number of heroes. So if it's 10 at 1, it's 20 at 2, it's 30 at 3, and so forth. And then there's 2 stages. There's 2 stages.
I don't think this game is like Hogwarts Battle. They said, it's easier if you have 4 players, all going in on these villains because of that scaling mechanism. I don't think that really does it. If you play this game solo or you play this game with 4 characters, I think you're going to have the same struggles. It's just scaled appropriately. The stages of the villains are crazy. You defeat that boss, you're feeling good. You got the first stage done, and then it pops up again. We struggle to even get him down to stage 2.
Right.
Then didn't you say that there's a stage 3?
Yeah, if you play expert mode, you got to go through 3 stages. So we're not even playing expert mode.
How are y'all doing that? That's what
how are you playing expert mode? For sure, let us know, because we're having a tough time getting through stage 1 on these villains.
Yeah, we've played all of the starter villains that come in the core set. We've played Rhino, and we did win against Rhino with playing the starter situation.
Spider-Man, right? Captain Marvel, yep.
So we did win Rhino, and then boy has it been downhill from there. We were absolutely obliterated by Ultron, completely obliterated. And we also tried to play Claw when we picked up our new hero sets. And again, we're not successful.
Right. And every playthrough is a little bit different, guys. If you have not played this, not only so with each hero, you get also obligation and a nemesis. So this obligation card goes into the encounter deck of your villain. And then based on that villain, they have their own particular cards that they add to the encounter deck. But if you're, as your hero, say if I'm playing Spider-Man, Peter Parker, there's an obligation. If that obligation card gets pulled, then that is going to bring my nemesis. And I'm trying to remember the nemesis of Peter Parker in the starter. I don't think it's Green Goblin. But anyhow, those nemesis cards get added to the encounter deck. And it changes the fight altogether once that card gets played. And then of course for every hero you have the same thing. They have their own obligations and they have their own nemesis cards.
They also have their own type of hero. You have your justice hero and they have certain abilities. You have the aggressive hero and they're going to probably be like your heavy hitters. So I definitely think you should, and it might even depend on the villain. You need to have that well balanced as well. You need to have a good balance of your heavy hitters and then also your maybe supporter role, or I don't know what you want to call them. We just picked up our our
Two new
first like
heroes. Yep.
yeah, our first editions of Captain America and Scarlet Witch, and they were really fun to play. I wonder if we lost, but I wonder if we need to familiarize ourselves with a new hero deck when we first get them instead of just whipping them out and playing. Because I remember like I didn't even know what these event cards, Scarlet Witch has a ton of event cards, and I didn't really know how they were interacting with each other or interacting with you. So maybe you need to, familiarize ourselves with them before we play. That might help.
Well, I definitely think there's a lot of strategy that goes into this game. So we're playing this off the cuff, kind of
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh, like it's just a deck builder. Like we have a hero, you have a hero, we're going up against this villain, and just kind of going through the steps, right? Like here's our hero phases, we go into a villain phase. But I think this particular game, Marvel Champions, is a game that you definitely have to go in with a strategy. Like I don't think you can just I could be wrong, but I don't think you
Yeah.
could randomly just pick up any heroes and go in at a villain. I definitely think, I don't know if it's based on the villain, you need to choose your heroes, or if you're playing these heroes, like you
You choose
said,
their
like,
type. Yeah.
right, yeah, like I want to play Cap, but because I'm playing Cap, that may mean you might not necessarily want to play Scarlet Witch because they're, like you said, they're not the best compatibility. But at the same time, that kind of, to me, that kind of hurts because like if that's my character, like if I really want to play Cap, then when I go to play with the group and like somebody's playing Thor and you're playing She-Hulk or something like that or whatever, then it'd be
Yeah.
like, oh well, Cap's not the best option. So if we want any chance of winning, I gotta play somebody else. So
But
I don't know if I like
as
that.
I would say, as this whole episode shows, we're okay losing. So if you want to play Cap and you want to get our asses handed to us by Ultron again, I will play. Let's do it. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna play through the Avengers. We're gonna collect them all. We're gonna play them all, and we're just letting you know that we're gonna play it badly. What's crazy to me is this is a good game, and this is a lot of people's top games. Like when I see lists on social media, what's your favorite game? What's your top 5 favorite games? It's likely Marvel Champions is on it. So I'm wondering, is this unbeatable or are we just bad? Like, let us know. Are you house ruling or are you cheating like that one guy said? Or are you just having a good time, win or lose? Let us know.
It's definitely the new hotness right now in the game market. So
New hotness.
if you're playing Marvel Champions, we want to know. We hit us up in those DMs over at Instagram or Twitter, and let us know if you're winning more than losing.
Again, we're fine with the flex. Let us know.
Yeah. So let's move on to our last unbeatable game.
And this one is, we saved the best for last. This game is unbeatable for real. And I will attest to that. Unbeatable for real.
This is Legends of Andor. This is, I think, starting out when I was first starting my board game collection, I think this was one of the first board games I picked up. And I am big into the role play campaign type of board games. I probably have more of those than any other type of board games in my collection, at least. But Andor is one that I've looked at, and I wanted it from the get-go as soon as I found out that it was this kind of a living campaign, so to speak, where you and 3 other players are going to pick up one of 4 heroes, a dwarf, an elf, a fighter, or a wizard, and you're going to go through these legends or these missions. And you have the introductory one, which is very simple. It's just you're going to protect the castle from these invading monsters. And it teaches, just like any other game, it teaches you the basics of the game, how to move, and which has a great move mechanic. If I could just dwell on that for a second, in the sense that, so you have the day. The day is made up of 8 hours.
Oh yeah, I like this.
Yeah. So your characters, you have these little tokens up at the top that call it the sunrise box. So that's when the sun rises, and then each little square is an hour. So whenever you move your hero into another square, or make your movement or attack or whatever, that costs you an hour.
Time.
Yeah, it costs you time. So if you move 4 squares, that's 4 hours, right? So that's half your day and so forth. So that's a really interesting mechanic there. But yeah, so you go through the introductory mission and it teaches you the game. And then we had the first mission, which we failed we got to the introduction.
Yes.
Here's how to play. We played the first mission. We failed because towards the end. So the way this game works is like you have a overall objective, like protect the castle or find this object or whatever it is, and then somewhere in the turns, so early on or towards the end, there's a twist. There will be an additional objective that comes up, or something happens and it changes the scenario of the game. So in the first mission we were playing through, and I think it was just like protecting the castle again. And then it was, we have to get this letter from one end of the map to the other. And we lost because there was just no way. We ran out of time, basically. So we played it a second round.
When we played it the second time, now that we know like what the twist is, now that we know what the objectives are, now you can start to plan your moves a little bit smarter to be successful. Because I know that I'm going to need to be halfway across this adventure map, and I'm going to need to fly this letter back over to my buddy. So I was able to pick up a raven and make that happen. And we were successful the second one, because we knew what was up. And that's why I think this game is unbeatable. Like, if you don't have the preview of what you got to do, it just is going to slap you in the face and you lose. And that's when we get to Legend 2.
Yeah, so Legend 2, or our second mission, we failed, obviously, because that's where we're stuck. So we failed there, but we know the twist, and we still fail. And I think that the issue there is...
We failed big L on Legend 2. It's so hard.
So Legend 2 starts off with, there's a bunch of monsters on the map. They're just like spawned everywhere. And I think we're looking for some sort of token. So these fog tokens that you got to go and you got to turn them over because you're trying to look for something. And eventually...
Hey, wait, Alan, should we have put a spoiler alert on this?
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
And then towards the end of the mission, the twist is that this big bad evil monster appears on top of this tower, and basically the only way to win is you have to go beat this monster that has this ridiculous attack power.
The only way to beat him is to all be there on that square fighting together.
Yeah, a single hero cannot fight this monster.
There's no
alone.
way.
And not to mention all four heroes, you got to have there's an NPC that shows up halfway through.
I think we need him as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because of when this twist is revealed, we are not all in that location. We're all over this adventure map. It's a big old board. And now we need to spend half of our day or a whole day moving up there to then fight it. By the time we get up there, the game's over because you only have a set number of rounds.
Yeah, we have to all be there. We have to have that NPC there just in order to
need weapons.
Match.
Yep.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, before that happens, we have to strategically use our turns, because we have a limited amount of turns before he shows up, to go and get our power-ups.
Yes,
which we
while
can't get
protecting the castle. Protecting the castle, or else we lose.
And we can't get power-ups unless if we find gold.
Yeah.
There's just a lot working against us in this.
Yes. But it's still fun. We're still enjoying it. And you discovered in our research for this game a really interesting fact or twist about this.
Right. So the copy that I have, the publisher is Fantasy Flight Games. But I found, looking into this, because I was looking like, okay, what's going on? So looking into this, Cosmos is now the publisher of this. And in picking this game up, they've added an easy mode, so to speak. So they've added some new additional cards that if you find the difficulty too hard, you can play these green cards, which are basically easy mode. So my version does not have easy mode in it.
We need easy mode. I was also looking through some forums like, what is the deal with Legend 2? And I saw a guy that said it took us 12 attempts to win that scenario. And I don't know if we have 12 attempts in us.
I don't want to try to play one mission. I mean, if mission 2 takes 12 times, I can only imagine
Oh,
what
I know. But
past
like,
that.
don't you want to get to the end of the game? Like, there's really awesome stuff to beat, really awesome stuff
We
coming
haven't
out.
even used
There's
a lot of the really cool other tokens. There's dragon. There's these other dice we
yes.
haven't used yet. There's a whole nother side of this board. Like we're only
There's
playing on one side of this
yeah.
board, which
There's
is the kingdom map,
expansions.
and then on the other side is like this underdark or under cavernous realm for us to play. And there's expansions.
Yep. There's heroes you can pick up. There's other tasks you can do. There's a whole new map you can get. And we're stuck on Legend 2.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because I know they came out with a what is it, like a kids version of Legend of, it's like my first Legend of Andor or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a kid version of this game, and I'm sure it's a lot. We may need that.
We need the kid version.
We may need the kid version of,
yeah.
of Legend of Andor so we can feel good about this. But I like the game. I love it. I want to play. I want to learn because there's a story. It's a campaign game.
Yeah.
So I want to know more about. I want to know the story. But getting past this.
I'm hoping our listeners are feeling the same struggles as we are. They're relating. I don't think anyone's gonna flex on us on this game. I think they're gonna pity us. They're gonna be like, I've been there, and I took that out. No, I honestly don't know. If you're killing this game, again, this is a common theme. Let us know. We need the help. We're letting you know this is a struggle for us. Speaking of struggles, that's our 3 big topics, but we have a few little honorable mentions that we're not going to talk through too much, but we also wanted to shout out as an unbeatable game for us. For me, my personal game, I don't think this game is unbeatable, but when I join the party, we lose this game. And so obviously I'm the problem. And that game is Forbidden Island. I don't know what it is. I think it's really fun. I love being the diver and getting to go, dive under all the flooded tiles. I mean, I think you take a random roll in that one. But for some reason, every time I play, we lose. And I put that out on Twitter a couple months ago, and I was like, hey, just confession time. I've never won this game. And also, we're not playing on legendary or expert mode. We're playing on probably novice or normal. Like we're not trying to go hard on it. We're just trying to play. And we played it pretty quickly after that. You and I did, and we won. So now I do have 1 W for this game.
You're welcome.
And it was probably because of you. I don't know why I can't win this game.
All right. Well, my honorable mention is going to be Ticket to Ride because we play that, everyone loses. Just everyone loses.
That's not true.
I'm kidding.
You lose.
I lose. I lose. I can't. Yeah. I don't know what it is. So I will be winning. I will be in the lead, and every time, my wife at the end
is like, ha.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like she's playing Jin Rami. She just has this hand of like 50 cards, and then it's all like, okay, in game.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I completed.
I have the Infinity Gauntlet. Here's all the stones. I snap you out of existence. Game over.
Oh my goodness.
No, so my mention will actually be a recent game that we just played last week, which is Discover Unknown Lands. Great game.
Discover Lands Unknown.
Oh, Discover Lands Unknown. Sorry. Yeah. Great game. It's a survival exploration game. And the scenario that came in the box set that we played was the Valley and the Badlands. And
super cool.
I loved it. I thought it was a great concept. So much so that we're like, do we have another game in us? And we played through both scenarios and we lost. We lost Badlands.
We lost Badlands, but we barely won Valley. You and I were dead. Yeah, I died by a moose.
We both died, and of course I don't know. My wife pulls it out. My wife should be on this podcast because she definitely pulls it out more than I do.
She is better at games than you, and I can back that up with statistics because I'm really into logging our gameplays in the BG Stats app. Not a sponsor, but hey, maybe in the future, you should get the BG Stats app and log your gameplays. So I can tell you mathematically, she's better than games at you.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially if it's like a work placement game.
So switch out next week. We'll have a guest, and you won't be here.
Yeah, I won't be here.
Why is this one unbeatable, or at least an honorable mention?
It's unbeatable because it, like the games like Andor, Marvel Champions, and Hogwarts Battle that we've talked about. It's just one of those games where if the resource cards or resources, doesn't necessarily have to be a card, but given the game, but if the particular resource does not, if you don't start with it or it doesn't show up early on, if it's at the bottom of the deck, if it's a deck builder or something like that, the likelihood of pulling out a win impossible.
Is low.
Yeah.
And what he's talking about there is a craft card to make fire, which is flint. And we even discussed it after, kind of really falling on our faces in the Badlands. We died of hunger because we couldn't cook our meat because we didn't know how to make fire because we didn't have flint.
Couldn't feed ourselves. Couldn't stave off monsters because we had no fire. So every time night fell, we were getting attacked or something bad was happening to us.
Yep.
And so we were sitting there even in Naked and Afraid, you get a fire starter.
It's because we weren't naked or afraid. That's why we lost. That's definitely why.
I was definitely afraid, but I was not getting naked.
We talked about like a house rule of maybe making, because everyone starts with a starting craft. What if someone starts with flint, just like Naked and Afraid? They're clearly doing things right. It's a great show.
They didn't always start off with fire, and they had more L's, and then they started giving out fire, and look, they have more wins.
So maybe we tweak that for our personal, I don't know, success.
That'll be our own little house rule.
Yeah. I am interested to know if you are flying through these games or you have tweaked them, if they have been unbeatable for you in your gaming party. Have you tweaked anything to make it a little more accessible or fun for your group? Because some people do get really disheartened with, losing or just getting their asses handed to them. And depending on, the game or how that situation plays out, you might not get that game to the table again. So maybe tweaking it is better because then you get to play it some more. I don't know. What do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think we want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments if there's any games that you find unbeatable, or if you've beaten these games, and let us know how you did it.
Yes. And so thank you for listening to this episode. I hope that you found something relatable or you found something to flex on us. We definitely appreciate your support. And if you are new here, please subscribe so you can keep up with our caffeinated conversations about tabletop gaming, role-playing games, and anything else we think to talk about.
You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at MugsInMagic. You can send us a DM with any of your questions or comments. We love to hear from you guys. And until next time, happy gaming.